Mikee P on the End of Money Players podcast. We have another Monmouth show. PTF's been handling these recently, but you get Mikee P this week, and my buddy Ryan Anderson from the Gallop out doing tons of content all over the place. Ryan, you like yourself a little. I asked you, you look at Monmouth? Of course. So I had to get you on.
Absolutely happy to be here. No, I enjoy Monmouth, and this is one of those weekends where I think the competition is going to be even better because, you know, the perennial leading rider and Paco Lopez is not in town. He'll be, I believe, at Saratoga this weekend. So that just kind of really deepens the jockey colony from that perspective in terms of, I think you can get some better prices on some horses. And this is a competitive late pick 3, very player friendly. I love that that wager is kind of catching on with the 15% takeout.
Yeah, and the low takeouts now for the pick 3s at Monmouth is very attractive. The $3 late pick 3s, we like the higher minimums. But Ryan, we have to be all about pick your prize for next week. They changed the date this year, and pick your prize shows up next weekend. It's $2,000 to get in, but if you go to monmouthpark.com, you can check out the handicapping contest tab, and you can check out the pick your prize information that shows up there. And no one sends more players to the NHC than Monmouth Park for the pick your prize. And this will be a very well-attended contest on June 13th. It's next Saturday, Haskell Preview Day. Ryan, I'm going to jump into this. It's a $1,000 entry fee, $1,000 bankroll. You have to be signed up early, though. You need to get in early. There's no day of signups. And the on track, of course, Brian Skarka has everybody set up for the on track, but you can play online also. You can, and it's strictly Monmouth Park. Ryan, this contest every year, JK won it last year from In the Money, but sends more players to NHC, BCBC than really any other contest.
Absolutely. It's an excellent way to dive into the contest world. And you mentioned, nobody sends more players to the NHC than the Jersey Shore. So absolutely take the time to hop in. Haskell Preview Day is one of the best days, not only at Monmouth Park, but just across the country, because you get to see those horses that are going to run in the Grade 1 Haskell Stakes later on this summer. And all those horses are showing up. All the best jockeys are in town. It's really must see, must bet, and definitely must participate if the pick your prize contest is in your wheelhouse.
Yeah, if you can't make it on track, you can go TVG for NJ Bets, Express Bet, and HPI. And of course, you can contact Brian Skarka at bskarka at monmouthpark.com, or you can give him a call. He will definitely get you set up. And it's win, play, show, exacta, and daily doubles. You have to bet at least 5 races and $150 minimum bet. So you have to be in there playing big. I will tell you, though, that the fact that they're giving away so many seats, it's just such an attractive contest. And new for this year, too, $100,000 bonus if you can win the pick your prize on site and win that $300 NHC qualifier on Sunday. So lots of extra on-track options, very attractive. Can you imagine being alive for $100,000 if you can find your way to win both of those, Ryan?
I mean, that would be incredible, wouldn't it? I'd be sitting front row for Haskell Day if that was the case.
Got to get in on Haskell Preview Day, get in on Pick Your Prize. Plenty of ways to jump in. And we're going to look at some handicapping for this Saturday, though, Ryan. It's Belmont Day, but plenty of other races going on. And we're going to look at that late pick 3 with the $3 minimum. Got one turf race to kick it off. It's race number 6, now 3:32 Eastern. Monmouth will finish up plenty of time for you to catch the Belmont. But we want to jump in on this non-winners of 2 going to Mount a 16th. Ryan, big field here. This is a tricky race. There's not a ton of form. There's some maiden winners kind of stepping in. Not a lot of horses that have done well on the grass. Where'd you go?
Yeah, this is a very tricky race to kind of kick things off. But whenever you get these kind of restricted claimers, I like to look for horses that, 1, either have an affinity for the turf, or 2, seem to be proven closers that can pass horses, because that's not often something you see here. That's something you kind of an issue that you run into a lot. Like your morning line favorite, the number 6 Bossy Dish, kind of just runs around there. Doesn't really have the affinity to pass a lot of horses. So I'm going to try and beat that horse here. I thought the 8, who's ended up being my top pick, they tried to get this horse on the turf last time at a $16,000 condition or claiming race. Ended up winning that day when they came off, ended up finishing 3rd when they came off the grass. Now back on turf. This horse is bred to go long, and a little bit of grass breeding in there as well on the dam side. It's only had 1 turf effort, but that was way above this condition. That was going back to the fall of last year at Laurel, optional claiming non-winners non-winners of one, other than finished fourth behind Ultimate Love, who ran in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies turf at Del Mar. So good company kept there, and I think this is a very reasonable place. And she runs back to that 63, especially given the company lines that she kept there. I think that makes her very, very competitive in a race like this. I'm also going to use the number 2, Bella Bello Banker for Juan Avila, Sunny Leone, Kentucky Derby winning jockey Sunny Leone. That was a good win last time out, going the mile in a 16th. I know it was maiden 25, and this is going to be a step up typically off those maiden claiming races. I like to see him cut the tag in half or run for around that tag. This is a step up, but hey, that might be a show of confidence from Juan Avila, who's 28% so far at Monmouth. And this horse's turf route was certainly respectable. And if she builds upon that, I think that makes her a big threat in here as well. I
like both of those horses. I think both have a decent chance to win. You mentioned, and they're going to be okay prices. And you mentioned it too. You know, Sunny Leone rides the turf very well. You can see some of the rides he gives at Tampa on the grass. He comes from off the pace. This horse got a nice win last time, stretching out. The barn, obviously very sharp. I mean, they're 14 out of 18 so far in the money. So they're throwing horses in the right spots. And this race, you mentioned the 25,000, but honestly, I mean, all these horses look very much the same and have been racing at similar levels. It's a 2 life. So the tag does not bother me whatsoever. I think that one plays very well. But my top pick will be the 4, Ruby, 6-1 morning line here. Now, this horse gets to the grass, only had one previous turf try, showed speed at Indy, and speed at Indy sometimes on the grass can be difficult to navigate. Typically, that they come from off the pace to win there. This one raced very well, I thought, over the grass November of last year. Just galloped in an off-the-turf race at Penn National on May 22nd, right back in the box. This horse can, repeat that figure. That was versus maiden special weight types. I think that this one with Daniel Centeno can maybe take these a very long way. So definite use for me, but I agree on the 2, agree on the 8. And that one has a little bit of class. You lose Paco, but this barn is very sharp and puts their horses in the right spots. They've been trying to get on the grass with this one. Also, that Laurel line looks very good versus these types. So a little bit spready here. I'm going to use 3 of them, but I'm going to try the 4, then maybe a little bit of 2-8 to kick off that $3 late pick 3 at Monmouth on Saturday. Go to race number 7 here, and it's a listed stake for the state bred fillies. Older fillies going 6 furlongs. Ryan, we get the usual suspects in here. A lot of these girls, like Mia's Crusade, show up in here almost every year. Summer's Coming won this race last year. They're back because they do very well versus state bred types going 6 furlongs. Where'd you end up?
Yeah, this is a difficult race. I think it is very competitive. You mentioned you have kind of those common opponents that show up in here that have kind of repeated in this event year over year. I thought there were some interesting ones. I think I'm going to press up on the 7 Summer's Coming. I do think this horse is speed of the speed and has been facing some better horses as of late, at least in my opinion. I do think they get this one out to the front end with Martinez aboard. And hopefully that is enough. Outside of that, I am going to back up using a couple. I want to use the 9 a little bit in Riding Pretty, because if they do go too fast on the front end, I think the cutback's going to hit this horse right between the eyes. And this horse failed as the favorite in a race last year for state bred fillies and mares up here in Monmouth, but didn't really get the setup that time. I think if they really do fly in front, she's the most trusted closer that I like. Another horse I definitely want to use is the 5 Howler, who last time out showed some speed on the grass when losing to Italian Soiree in epic style on at Laurel. I believe that was Preakness preview day at Laurel. Comes back onto what I believe is the preferred surface, as she is 5 for 7 in the try on the main track. So a little bit of 5 and 9 for me, but primarily pressing up the 7.
Yeah, and I agree on the 7 and 9, and they're pretty obvious, right? They show up every year. They fire their best shots. The 7, Summer's Coming, looks very tough in here, especially with her recency. The fact that she's racing well versus opens. She comes back from Tampa. Now, only 1 for 8 at this racetrack, but has 4 shares, so she's fine here. And, they're another year older. Mia's Crusade, a little bit of a tough read. She's a 7-year-old mare now. Her last 2 starts aren't that great. She only has a couple works going into this spot. So I'd probably be looking to fade her. I understand your 9, Riding Pretty. That's another one. 6-year-old mare now. gets a cutback in distance. She has 5 wins over this racetrack. Gets back to sprinting, which it's been a minute since she's been sprinting. If you look back, her last time sprinting was in this race last year, and she was favored there in that spot. So she fits. I would use her, but I'd be probably heavy 7. She just looks very tough with her recency. She looks like the fastest. They're going to have to catch her. Now, you mentioned the 5 Howler. That one has 4.5 lines at Charlestown. So, the speed's there. Had a turf try last time. That was way too tough for her. She's back in here. She's a 4-year-old filly, so she's a speedy one that could maybe throw some a wrench into this pace. So I think that's a good look. I'm going to be heavy 7, but I understand your horses probably use a little 9 also here in the listed stake, race number 7 at Monmouth on Saturday. Go to last, race number 8. It finishes out your $5 late double, your $3 late pick 3 at Monmouth, and 6 furlongs here, condition allowance. Ryan, 7 horses looks competitive to me, though. How are we going to get paid?
Yeah, it looks competitive, and at the risk of talking this horse into the winner's circle, I'm completely against the favorite to the outside in 3-0. Look, they kept this horse on the synthetic basically the entire career. She is 0 for 8. He is 0 for 8. This 6-year-old gelding on a fast main track, 0 for 2 on a wet track. They've kept this horse on turf, on synthetic. I think that's for a reason. Even though he drew really nicely towards the outside, I still don't know that this is his preferred surface here. So I'm going to try and beat that horse. I want to use the 5, Charlie Mac. I do think the draw is helpful. I think drawing outside and second time off the claim for Tony Wilson, I think is going to be a plus. Definitely got a big step up in class last time. Drops down, I think, a little bit. From a class perspective now in the optional claiming 20, isn't in for the tag, definitely fits versus this group and can close with a nice kick if they get the setup up top, which I think they will. I think the 6 is going to show a little more speed with those blinkers on. The 7 normally shows some speed. And then my other choice, the number 4, who I believe could be the speed of the speed once again in Cold Feet, gets back on to the main track after trying turf last time to no avail, gets back on. This one is definitely quick early, and I think could, again, be the speed of the speed, just kind of stretch this field out with some real intention under Jockey Gonzalez. So 4-5 for me. Going to try and beat that favorite in the last.
I understand fading the favorite, the 7. I don't have that one, but I have 2 different ones than you do. So I see this race a little differently. I'm going to try the 1, Guapo, again. This one came here on May 17th and galloped in a starter allowance. Now, that was a $5,000 starter allowance, but that 80 figure is certainly one that sticks out versus these and really is capable of that. If you look back to a similar type race at Tampa back in April, this one was up close and was able to produce that sort of figure. I just maybe could be a little bit tougher than some of these others in here. Very speedy, is going to need to be caught, shouldn't have too much pressure early. So I think is a must use. We'll see if the 4 can pressure enough, but I think the 1 might be a little quicker, has those back numbers. That's one I definitely want to use to finish out this pick 3. And then the 6 is the wild card, right? LaFrost. That one, 7-2 morning line, only 2 lifetime starts. Broke the maiden at Monmouth back in August last year, first time out, and took money in there. It was 4-1 versus maiden specials. Then, tried a starter at Tampa in December. It was okay, but that was just maybe a little bit too tough. Was a step slow early, ended up 4th. Now you get blinkers. You get back to the track where this horse has a win. This race is full of horses that have question marks. I think that this one is capable of improvement. Lightly raced, but I like the blinkers. And I just think that this one is one that I need to have in a race that some of these other ones, we'll see. They probably need their trip to win. So a little 1-6 to finish out pick 3s. But Ryan, that last race is obviously wide open. You're muted.
With us using 4 different horses just between the 2 of us and trying to beat that favorite, I think we have the right approach trying to beat that favorite. I think we both see that one's a little bit vulnerable, so it could be a spread race. Maybe with the $3 minimum, that does up the difficulty for sure. So maybe we got to get a little skinnier in legs 1 or leg 2, but a very competitive sequence, and it's tough to nail down, tough to narrow down and find that single. So. Hopefully, if you can beat a couple favorites, so you're definitely going to get paid with a high $3 minimum.
Yeah, the low takeouts at Monmouth. You got higher minimums at Monmouth. You got pick your prize coming next weekend. So many things to like about the Jersey Shore. If you're out playing horses this weekend, watching the Belmont, jump into Monmouth. Ryan, obviously to talk to you and happy to get your opinions anywhere in the country. You're always, good for a good price. Appreciate having you. We'll talk to you soon.
Always good to join you, Mikey.
It's been a production of In the Money Media. Get in on the simulcast this weekend. Go to Pick Your Prize. Go to Monmouth next weekend for that big contest. We'll see you next time.